Next month?
Next month, yes.
Oh, la la.
Yeah, we're expecting that month. Then March onwards, independence celebrations.
That's right.
Electoral Commission begins to roll out its calendar.
That's right.
April, thereon, we know the other parties would have also elected their candidates. Things will be shaping up. Then from June onwards, we enter the real political season. And then you have the Electoral Commission also doing limited registration exercise.
That's right.
Exhibition. Then they will open nominations for people to pick up forms. And then hopefully, if the proposal at IPAC, which was considered yesterday, is approved, we may have, and then of course Parliament supports it, would go back to the proposal on the drawing board for elections to be conducted on November 7th instead of December 7th. Originally the rationale behind that proposal was brought to Parliament in 2015. Yes, but it was squashed. It didn't garner the number of votes that had to be garnered to ensure that proposal passed, because our constitution then would have to be amended to say that the election has to be 60 days to inauguration. Now it's 30 days to inauguration. So that's why we vote December 7th. Inauguration is January 7th. So that would have to be amended from 30 to 60. Which would move the date back to November 7th.
We also have the SDA wading into that side of things.
Absolutely.
There's a standing petition to the AG.
Yes, AG and then the Electoral Commission as well. But the Electoral Commission, they are indicating that is not the reason why because they already thought about that. Because that would obviously give them, the main reason is to allow for a lot more smoother transitions if there has to be a change of power. So it's been on the drawing. It's not a proposal that was tabled today. It actually went to Parliament in 2015. Didn't see the light of day, and since then, those who matter have not brought it back onto the table again. But this time around, we have that. So let's see how it goes. If it's accepted at IPAC, obviously the EC would put that as part of a proposal to the Attorney General, and then he will introduce a Constitutional Amendment Act to Parliament, and then it can be discussed. We
know now that the NDC has returned to IPAC. Some interesting developments there. I wonder if it's still a bit frosty or things are progressing smoothly.
From the maiden meeting yesterday, what we gleaned from the meeting yesterday, looks like it's not that bad. It started on a good note. Proposals were discussed, so things are quiet. But of course, it's political season. They wouldn't agree with all the, especially if you look at the deep-seated reservations they have about the Electoral Commission and the leadership of the chairperson. And she has promised to change her style. Trying to get the Peace Council to get the NDC to come back. She said she was going to be a lot more accommodating and all. And so, yes, the NDC has standing issues. In fact, one of their members of Parliament is in court over the appointment of two persons who they believe are NPP sympathizers, or NPP members actually, who have been appointed onto the EC. So the Akwapem is in court on that issue. But that still has not changed the fact
that's
that
MP for South Dine.
South Dine, yes. Right. He is in court over the appointment of Dr. Apiahine and one Hajia. So the two of them, but they are still 7 members of the Electoral Commission.
Right.
So that should tell you, the kind of mistrust really that the NDC has for the EC. But elections, the votes is at the polling station. Even though it's been said that it's not those who vote that matter, but those who count that matter. In instances where it is clear. For instance, in 2016, the NPP had all sorts of reservations about Charlotte Osei. In fact, when they got into office, petitions, orchestration, things happened, and she had to be sent out packing. First time in our history, we've had an Electoral Commissioner removed that way. But when Akufo-Addo won the votes by 1 million, there's nothing the Electoral Commission can do. So really, it's in irrespect, once the ground rules have been set clearly, the systems have been put in place, and there is vigilance, manipulation really becomes quite difficult. So it's all up to them.
A very packed year indeed. A lot for us to look forward to, and especially this coming Saturday. Well, throughout last week and this week, we've turned our attention to some of the hotspots, what we're calling hotspots. So we've gone into the Bantama constituency. We had a conversation with lawyer Ralph Ejapom. We've also gone to the Bekwai constituency, had some very interesting conversations I did with COP retired Alex Mensah. In fact, Global Info Analytics projections don't put him as the front runner. In fact, they put him at number 2, I believe. Same for Ralph Japon. In fact, Global Info Analytics gives him some 1%, with Senso Boachi taking a lion's share, some 94% and over. So some of these constituencies have been quite interesting, given the key personalities, what has gone on, and we now know that the tactics are not reserved for football only. We're seeing some interesting tactics happening in the Akwapem South constituency. And this morning I told you, you're going to want to take a listen, or keen listen, to what Duke has to tell us this morning. So lay the foundation for us. We know that the incumbent Obi Amoah had indicated that he was going to step back. Yeah. That's not the case.
So Obi Amoah, Colossus in his own right, he's a lawyer. He's been in Parliament since 2009. First it was the Breen-Salm constituency, and then it was the coupled in 2012. So we have a Breen-Salm, and then we have the Akwapem South, and then Amoah the Akwapem. Right. So he's currently Minister of State for Local Government. He initially decided that he wasn't going to run, but days after the nominations were opened, he went to pick forms, nomination forms, pick up nomination forms, and he filed successfully. Now here's the catch. Okay, there is a guideline or a rule in the NPP's guidelines for this parliamentary primaries that if you want to contest a certain MP and you are a certain MC, you have to resign.
If you want to contest
a certain MP and you are a certain MC in that jurisdiction, you need to resign.
Is this just reserved for MC, or does this include also DCEs? And
so DCEs, so MMDCs.
MMDCEs, okay.
MMDCs, that's the bigger group, really. So if you're an MMDC and you want to contest in a particular constituency where there's a certain MP, and these reforms, Chairman Sambos is the one who's been preaching these reforms for a very long time, but thankfully they were accepted, because really what happens is when you are a member of Parliament, you are in Accra in Parliament trying to make laws, trying to lobby, then you have a DCE who has control over the state largesse in the district, takes common fund, takes IGF, has even a say in whether you get your MP share of the common fund. Now usually a lot of them use that as a springboard to catapult their parliamentary ambitions.
I see.
Yes. So you have them, they'll be undermining the MP. They will not even sign the required forms to get the MP's common fund share released to him, for him also to be able to undertake his development. They do everything in their power to undermine the MP. So you have had the situations where there are very frosty relations between the DCs and the MCs. Why? Because the DCE wants to take over as MP. And so that creates that friction, disunity in the party, and weakens the party. So, I mean, to get that done away with, the parliamentary party led by Chairman Safosa for a very long time, I can remember as far back as 2016, has been making this proposal that if you're an MC, you should be banned from contesting. And this year, that proposal found favor. So it's rule number 12 in the guidelines for the New Patriotic Party's primary for this year. So that is the situation playing out in Akwapem South. So the MC, Frank Edu, and Obi Amoah apparently are not on good terms.
Okay.
Yes. So when Obi Amoah decided he was not running, Frank Edu decided he was going to run. Going to the constituency, you see his billboards, his posters and everything in there. Okay. But he did not resign because Obi Amoah, he picked up indications that Obi will not run again. So
this is the sequence of events. Obi Amoah, incumbent, decides that he will withdraw. In fact, there's a letter here that is dated the 19th of January.
That was what came yesterday.
So that's what came through yesterday.
So Obi Amoah said he wasn't going to run.
He wasn't going to run.
Then, because he wants to prevent Frank Edu from running, he files. And then his former special assistant, Eric also files.
So then people start to think, that's curious. What is going on?
Yes. So they go through everything to the very end. In fact, Frank Edu still filed anyway. And then his issue was a curious issue. So it was referred to the NEC, that's the National Executive Committee meeting.
Right.
That was held on last Wednesday at Alisa. I was there. We stayed out from about 1 p.m. till about 9 p.m. That's when the meeting.
It's a very long engagement. Yes. From 1 p.m. till 9 p.m.
Yes, we were there in Alisa camping out. trying to find out. And this was one of the, thorny issues up for discussion at that meeting. So they finished the meeting. Frank is disqualified because it's in clear violation of the rule that says you are an MC. If you don't resign, you can't contest.
Right.
Then the following day, Amoah writes this letter and says, I'm withdrawing. A day after, I'm withdrawing. What does that tell us? What does that tell you? It tells you that he is withdrawing, having gotten Frank Edu disqualified, and would want his protege, Eric Yeboah Apiedu, to have an easy ride, even though there are other contestants. But with Obi's support and with what Eric has also been able to do in the constituency, it should be a walk in the park for him without the MCE contesting.
That means the MCE poses a big threat, which Obi Amoah recognizes.
If he doesn't pose a threat, he would not have conjured up these machinations to get him out. Yeah.
Very interesting. So
that's the tactics we talk about.
The tactics that we're talking about, very interesting. Now, it's some 3 days. He's pulled out, if you will, some 3 days to the primaries. Now what we know is that the MCE, name again is Frank Edu has made a second attempt.
His petition.
To contest the seat. Now, yesterday, Anthony Kofi Osei-Eje, he's the Eastern Regional Secretary of the NPP. He had a conversation with Alfred Okanse on Ghana Tonight, again confirming same. And a quick one here. This is from the MCE. He says, I'm very much aware of the regulation that stops all MMDCEs from contesting in constituencies which have the incumbent member of parliament running in the 2023 parliamentary primaries. And Duke makes that clear to us what the stipulations are. Now, he says, my member, so this is a petition for the conditional filing of nomination. It says, my member of parliament since 2021 has communicated to me directly and through others that he had no intention to contest in the 2023 parliamentary primary. So this is something that had already been communicated. Interesting. Indeed, that had been encouraging me to work hard to contest. This advice from a member of parliament is one that I had taken very seriously and I was working at till date. Unfortunately, just as I was preparing to pick my nomination form to contest in the 2023 parliamentary primaries, I gathered that my member of parliament had gone to pick his nomination forms so that he can file. Again, the tactics that we're seeing here. What does this mean now for Akwapem South?
It means that the steering committee, NEC, I don't know if you're going to convene a NEC meeting, but this is something that the steering committee should be able to handle. But it means that the party would have to take a decision. Unlike in the presidential race where there was a standing presidential elections committee that would have dealt with this. In the parliamentary elections, there is no standing committee like that. So it means that this has been transmitted to the regional secretariat in the Eastern region. They would have to quickly work around the clock since there is the election is happening on Saturday.
That's right.
Transmit same to the national office. And then the national will have to take a decision on this matter. That having regard to what has transpired, will they give Frank another opportunity to contest?
Well, I think
or will they, what that would mean is that they would either reopen nominations in the constituency so that Frank will file, or they would say that because of the prevailing circumstances, they would reinstate Frank to contest.
Very interesting there. And no idea where we think NEC will be going with this one. If you could give any...
It's a novel situation. It's a novel situation. It's a novel situation. So, in the interest of fairness, if Obi says he's not running again, reinstate him, let him run, because remember there's a similar situation that played out in Inshaeso.
That's right.
Which ended up in court. Thankfully, the plaintiff issued a notice of discontinuance, so he's no more, going ahead with that.
So Inshaeso will go ahead
on Saturday. Right, Inshaeso will hold on Saturday. Similar situation, but the catch here is that Kennedy Kankam, who is a former member of parliament for Inshaeso, is now MCE for Asokore Mampo. Now, Asokore Mampo is within the Asawasi constituency. But he qualifies, or he's been MP for Inshaeso, which means that for all intents and purposes, he qualifies to run in Inshaeso. Now, what's the case? The case is that because of the disqualification clause, persons who thought that rule could be interpreted in their favor petitioned the party and said, irrespective of the fact that Kennedy Kankam is not serving within the Nshaiso enclave, he's an MC nevertheless, so don't allow him to run. Now, Kennedy Kankam says, well, I'm an MC, but I'm not an MC within this jurisdiction.
And that is instructive because the rules say it has to be in that particular constituency.
Absolutely. Right. Which means that if you're not an MC in that constituency, obviously there are no clash of heads. That's what the framers of that rule were thinking about. So that is how come Kennedy Kankam was able to meander and maneuver his way around that regulation. And so he's going to contest sticker. That is Dr. Stephen Amoah on Saturday. This time around, it looks like we have an inverse relationship in Akwapem South.
I see.
He is there, but the MP initially who had indicated he will not run, says I'll run, now pulls out. Clearly, I mean, without, in not so many words, giving us the indication that his anointed political godson that he wants the person to run. But here we are. So it's a very, very, very dicey issue for the NEC, because if I were Frank Edu, if NEC decides that they would not reinstate me, I would not file, because if I file, automatically I forfeit my membership of the party, because that's it. But I will not file. I will get somebody to file on my behalf.
What does that mean?
What that means is that if the NPP as a party decides that, irrespective of the fact that the gentleman is not running, Obi Amoah is not running, you will not reinstate me to run because you have closed nominations, I will not take the matter to court, because if I take the matter to court, it's anti-party behavior. So I'll get somebody, a hireling, an assign, to take the matter to court.
Interesting.
Yes, to indicate that, well, I am a member of the NPP in the Akwapem South constituency. I think that there is a lack of fairness. The playing field is uneven. There is a miscarriage of justice, and it has the potential to bring an imbalance in the relations in my party. So because of that, force the hand of NEC to reinstate this person.
I would be quite intrigued if NEC decides to not allow Frank Edu to carry on, because is it the case that he actually filed nominations when nominations were opened? He did file, expecting that Obi would not file. So he filed, and he was disqualified. So in terms of that particular provision about when to file, he wouldn't have fallen foul to that, because he would have filed at the appropriate time. And that's another thing that probably will go in his favor, isn't it?
Yes, so he has filed. But he was disqualified because Obi was in the race. So it's a straight thing. If they are going to give him a special, provision, a special dispensation, that would mean that they will reinstate him to run.
Very interesting, and we'll be keeping a keen eye on this one. There's not too many different ways I see this going, but the stranger things have happened, shall I say. So it could be a decision that we'll be mulling over some more.
But really, because of, there's a similar thing that's playing out in Bekwai. Usually when people run, even if they are leaving the office, they want somebody who they think can carry on with their political legacy. So Joe Seusu has come out all guns blazing, right there, campaigning for COP to take over from him, because he thinks COP will probably continue with his legacies. We have seen such a relationship gone bad in Ayawaso Central, where Sheikh Isikwe, the godfather of the constituency, he said, we've heard him say it, he literally brought Henry Korte into office, because Henry Korte, same personal aid matter that is happening in the Akwapem South. Henry Korte was the personal assistant to Sheikh Isikwe. Sheikh Isikwe ensured that Henry Korte would take over from him. And now Sheikh Isikwe says that the policies that he expected Henry Korte, who is now Greater Accra Regional Minister, to continue with those policies of his, he is now turning against him and using those policies against him, Sheikh Isikwe. So now he has anointed another person, Moses Sabo, to run in the Ayawaso Central constituency. So these relationships, godfather, godson, political godson relationship, really, most of the time is for someone that you don't want someone that you'll be on a different wavelength with when you are leaving the constituency. But it can go sour, just as it has gone in Ayawaso Central. So let's see how it pans out. For now, everything rests with the New Patriotic Party's leadership to decide as to whether, based on this petition, they would reinstate Frank Edu or not.
Very interesting analysis here, but let's add some more voices to the conversation, expand on it further. Joining us to sink our teeth some more into this is Paul Mensah-Bampo, first Vice Chairman, Akwapem South, NPP. Good morning to you, Paul. Thank you so much for joining us on the program.
Thank you, and good morning to your cherished listeners.
We're looking keenly towards Saturday, the 27th of January, and I know that you are as well. But things have been shaking and grooving, if you will, in Akwapem South because of the withdrawal of Obi Amoah as far as the competition is concerned. We're also being made aware that the MCE, Frank Edu, is making a second attempt on finding himself on the ballot paper. What more can you share with us as far as this is concerned?
Well, thank you very much. To the best of my knowledge, and everything is set for the elections on Saturday in the constituency. Everything is calm there, and I don't see any problem in the constituency as of now.
If you say that everything is set to go ahead, who are the candidates then who will be competing with each other on Saturday?
Yes, there were three contestants. We have Eric Apiedu, who is the number one on the ballot. Honorable Obi Amoah was second on the ballot. The third is Eric Anomah, and Honorable Jehu Kwame Jehu is the fourth candidate. Yes, I think yesterday also we heard that Honorable Obi Amoah has written to withdraw. But for the past, these are the four candidates are contesting. Until we had a message yesterday that Honorable Obi Amoah has written to withdraw his candidate.
Okay, so you are aware of that withdrawal. What effect does this withdrawal have on the nomination filed by MCE Frank Edu?
Well, that is a decision by the National Executive Council. It's not within the constituencies because the issues are before the National Executives, and they will have to decide on that.
Is there a time frame within which this decision has to be made? Because the primaries, they're happening just this Saturday. And it has some 2 days away. And this is a very key decision that has to be made. Is it the case that there might have to be a pause as far as Akwapem South is concerned?
My dear, this is a political party which operates on structures. And once we have directives from the National Council to proceed with the elections, we are proceeding as directed. Until we hear anything from the National Executive, we will have to focus on what is before us. So that's what we are concentrating on, organizing the elections as directed by the National Executive Council.
Have ballot papers already been printed?
Yes, I think they are working on that. Already the notice of polls have already been issued, and it has been circulated in the constituency. So we have the notice of polls in which you have the Honorable Obi Amoah's name there.
So what are the financial implications of having to change this around? What happens then in an instance like this if monies have been spent to print ballot papers that have his, details on there? Give us some insight, please.
Well, to the best of my knowledge, once the notice of poll has been issued, until we receive any directives from the EC or the National Council will give further directives, I don't know how it's going to work, but I believe that once the notice has been issued, the election will proceed. Because one, the other contestants there was a ballot, and they have been campaigning with the numbers which they took from the ballot. So I think that at this time it was very difficult to change the numbers. So for me, I think that this thing will proceed unless we have any other directives. But to the best of my knowledge, everything is okay. We have only Saturday and everything is calm. We are going ahead.
Interesting. You say it's calm and going ahead, but for me that doesn't appear to be the case. You've got a candidate who is eager to be on the ballot. What Frank Edu is saying is that he was preparing to pick his forms to contest and was made aware that Honorable Obi Amoah was also contesting. And again, as per your rules, those two candidates wouldn't be able to feature on the ballot. Now, Obi Amoah has stepped aside. Would it not be the case that Frank Edu goes ahead and is placed on the ballot? I know you mentioned that this is up to NEC and the EC, but from where you stand or from where you sit, is it not the case that, like I mentioned, he's going to be on the ballot? Or should be, or as per your rules? What would bar the MCE from appearing on the ballot box, given everything that's going on at the moment?
At the constituency level, we operate with directives. So there was opening of nominations. Nominations were filed. Voting took place at the regional level. And the region informed us of those who have been cleared to proceed with the elections. So from the constituency level, no issue is before us. So we will have to wait for those who are responsible for taking such decisions to act. And if there is any, I don't know whether there's any issue before them as of now. So if there is any issue before them, then they will have to act and direct us. Once they give any direction, we are obliged to comply with the directives from the national level. So for me, it is very difficult to talk about this issue because I don't have any authority over it.
Right.
I only act on the directives as from the national level.
All right. Well, thank you so much for giving us some further insight on this particular one. Thank you for your time this morning. Of course, we'll be watching very keenly as to what the developments are going to be in Akwapem South.
Okay, thank you also for calling me, and wish you all the best. We invite you to Akwapem South. Is there very calm, and we invite you all to come and then enjoy the good weather in Akwapem South.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for that. Again, that was Paul Mensah Bampo First, Vice Chairman, Akwapem South of the NPP party. So, well, Duke, as it stands now, nothing official beyond the commentary we've heard from MCE Frank Edu, the NPP execs in the Eastern region. I wouldn't say have been tight-lipped, but, you know, from where they sit, they've got to wait for further. Yes, this is above their pay grade. Exactly the case. And so we'll keep an eye out on that. Any further developments, of course, if you stick with us, we are your election command center. We'll be giving you an update on to that. But let's turn our attentions now to the Ashanti region. And Duke, something that is boiling and bubbling is the Wontumi versus Menchia saga. We parked the parliamentary primaries for now, but of course we'll be engaging further ahead of Saturday. Wontumi says he's too ill to go to the palace. I'm not sure what the illness is.
I saw him on Wednesday.
Where did you see him?
At the NEC meeting, at the National Executive.
Did he look a bit unwell to you?
For the uninitiated, per my untrained medical eye, he didn't look sick to me. He was arguing with the Rose Minister.
He looked fit as a fiddle. But he's told that he can't come. He can't attend because he's not feeling too good.
He is dreading what will happen to him. I mean, you know, I am from the Ashanti region. I'm an Ashanti.
I see.
So I know what it means for you to disrespect the Otun for the way and manner in which we did, especially when he had a sub-chief, a chief from Menchia on that panel as well. I mean, he would have said this anywhere and gotten away with it. People say some things like that all the time. I mean, in the comfort of their rooms and somewhere. But for you to have said it in the what's it called? In the presence of a chief, that is grievous. Just means that really you are all out to want to tarnish the reputation of the Otumfuo. And I mean, there are 3 things that people do not play with in the Ashanti region. 3 things.
Let's hear it.
Otumfuo.
Right.
Asante Kotoko. NPP.
Otumfuo
number 1.
Asante
Kotoko, the football club. And then NPP.
Let's get onto the telephone lines right about now and connect with our Northern Sector Bureau Chief, Williams Evans Inkum. He's in the thick of things. He'll be giving us an account of what the temperature is like in the Ashanti region. Good morning to you.
Well, good morning to you, my sister.
How is the Ashanti region this morning? Is it boiling and bubbling?
Well, so, yes, you mentioned the temperature, and I really love it. I mean, temperature depends on where you currently live. So if you're talking about the NPP, then it is beyond astronomical caution. If you're talking about the normal temperature that we are feeling in the Ashanti region, then it is ranging between 30 and 35 degrees Celsius, even though there has been a prediction, that we're going to see some intermittent rains in the course of the day, but that is from the meteorological department. But in terms of NPP, and for that matter, Chairman Wontumi and Menchia, in the camp of Chairman Wontumi, it is beyond astronomical caution.
Why do you say that? Because there are many who say, well, Chairman Wontumi is noted for some of these utterances, some of these statements. We know his general disposition, if you will. Paint a picture for us why this time round it appears that this particular fracas is one not ending anytime soon, and as you said, is of astronomical proportions.
Well, so the Menchia Palace is a revered institution, let me put it that way, because they have their own system, and it is not directly in line with, maybe you would want to call it, modern democracy, because it is a conservative environment and they still go by that traditional system. Of course, even they say that before democracy crept into the Ghanaian politics, was introduced, Menchia had its own system.
That's right.
This morning I was saying that even though separation of powers, which of course introduced by John Locke with the modern exposition from Baron de Montesquieu, even before that, Menchia Palace, had its own separation of powers. Where you go there, the judiciary is there, the executive is there, and of course, the legislative assembly is also there, and they still operate. And every single inhabitant in the Ashanti region is well aware of that. One particular place that everybody dreads going or being summoned to is the Menchia Palace. And you all understand the current position or composition of Chairman Wontumi as far as that summon is concerned. For somebody like Maurice Ampao, perhaps he doesn't understand or underrate the magnitude of the case. Maybe it's the reason why he is taking it too lightly. But whoever has had an encounter in the Menchia Palace will attest to the fact that it is not an easy to go place or a place that you go and show democratic muscles and what have you, because the moment you get there, they are going to apply their laws and not necessarily the laws of this country or governing this country. They have a laws there, traditional laws there, and that is what they will apply. And the moment they start applying that law, then you realize that there is a friction between their laws and that of the conventional law, which, of course, you say that has been inspired by democracy. And so it is not an easy to go place, as I said earlier, and the whole issue is even more complex than what we see here. And the more reason why, you remember, there was an incident which involved Oirepa FM. When Akwapem had gone there to make certain pronouncements and what have you. People outside were saying that, well, it is his democratic right, and to some extent they would want to say that, well, he wasn't wrong after all. But Oirepa FM was asked to shut the station for a period of time, and they they inclined. I mean, I remember that DJ had to come in, but the moment DJ issued a statement which was kind of less rebutting what Menchia had directed. But the moment the GTA president stepped his foot at Menchia, the whole narrative changed. Okay, then we saw going back. I mean, we saw, a reversal of certain decision or certain statement that DJ had made. So it tells you the level of authority that Menchia carries as far as even modern democracy and their traditional system of governance is concerned.
Absolutely, so, because we know that the Constitution jealously guards our chiefs and chieftaincy institutions. If you look at Article 270, for example, so that's quite clear, the prominence that our chieftaincy institutions have in our society. So as you say, no small matter at all being summoned before the or summoned to the Menchia Palace, but for the uninitiated. And Williams, I'm not asking you to repeat for what was said, but put into context for us the weight of what Chairman Wontumi said. How offensive is it, or was it, to the palace?
So let me also dwell on the allegations. I mean, because these have been reported speech.
That's
on
right.
January 3rd, NPP had a vetting. So 2 places were designated for the vetting. The regional party office and, of course, the campaign office of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, the flag bearer of the ruling New Patriotic Party, going to the 2024 general election. The last day was supposed to have, Dr. Matthew Pokupepe was supposed to appear before the vetting committee. I think that was the last day, to also, be vetted. Now, after his vetting, we understand there were some commendations that, well, Matthew, from the panel, some of them commended him, and of course, also recounted a number of times, certain personal engagements with the Menchia South lawmaker and what have you. Then Abuba, who happens to be the constituency organizer of Menchia South, confronted Wontumi, saying that Wontumi never commended Matthew Pokupepe, even though he has also helped him one way or the other. And that erupted, some level of altercation. So, in the course of the altercation, according to one of the eyewitnesses, Wontumi said that Abuba should leave the office because that was his kingdom. And that drew the attention of one of the chiefs who was also there, that, hey, mind your language.
You're referring to the Samahini.
Why do you say that is your kingdom? Because the only kingdom in the Ashanti region is that of Menchia. So we also understand that Wontumi said no. He wasn't making reference to Menchia, but he was making reference to NPP kingdom. And in the Ashanti region, that is his kingdom. So there was another altercation between, this is according to one of the eyewitnesses.
Right.
There was another altercation between Wontumi and then the chief, who happens to be the Kokoso Hene, or the chief of Kokoso.
Right.
In the course of the exchange, then Wontumi said, even if Ohene, so here Ohene, it will be very difficult for me to say that Wontumi was referring to Asantene or referring to the chief that he was having that kind of exchange with. So I would want to use Ohene as he said, but not necessarily do the translation. So even if Ohene speaks and I have something contrary to that, I will speak my mind. So that is where the issue is. The allegations that we've heard, that is why the issue is.
Interesting.
Now, then we also heard that the matter was brought before the chief scribe of the party. So there was a phone conference conversation between the chief scribe, the Kokoso Hene, who is one of the primary witnesses, and the Wontumi. In the course of another altercation, we have also heard, we cannot independently verify this particular assertion, that we have heard that there was an invocation of the dreaded Antwa deity from Wontumi. We cannot independently verify this particular assertion because the matter is also before the Otumfuo.
So it's possible that the gods have waded into this matter. Absolutely. What does that mean for Chairman Wontumi? This sounds quite scary if true.
Well, it means a lot because it is a taboo to invoke a deity, especially on a chief. So Menchia doesn't take kindly to this particular thing at all, especially when you invoke the great oath of Otumfuo without any proper justification, and also what we call in local parlance and Otumfuo Tamkese, or evoke the dreaded Antwa deity, especially on a chief. It is an issue of the highest magnitude. So now the Menchia, the case was reported to Menchia, but somebody, we still do not know who reported the case to Menchia. But then the Kokosohene, who happens to be one of the sub-chiefs, was summoned to Menchia to come and give an account of all that happened during that fateful day. So it was after the account that the Menchia summoned Chairman Wontumi and then the NPP party to come and answer some of the allegations that have been leveled against Wontumi. Now, 2 days ago, the chief scribe of the party, who is also a royal, appeared before, I'm talking about Justin Frimpong-Kodua.
That's right.
Appeared before the Asanteman Traditional Council, which was chaired by the Bantamahene. By tradition, the Bantamahene, who is the defense minister, is also the chief of Kumasi. So in the absence of Otumfuo, any matter that has to do with Kumasi and its environment is the Bantamahene who represents the Otumfuo. So Bantamahene was the one who chaired the Asanteman Traditional Council to listen to the side of NPP. Of course, the chief scribe of the party, Justin Frimpong-Kodua's opening statement was that Wontumi was indisposed because it was very clear, the summon was very clear that Wontumi should be part of the team. But he needed to explain to the Traditional Council why Wontumi wasn't part of the team. And he told them that Wontumi was indisposed. And that erupted that level of tension and then flags from the Menchia Palace. So the first question was that if Wontumi is indisposed, where is the evidence? We need a doctor's report stating that Wontumi is unwell and wouldn't be able to honor the summon by Menchia. But he also was unable to provide because he said while he was coming, Wontumi called him. So it wasn't as if he also has an evidence to the fact that Wontumi was indisposed.
He was also just getting that information.
Informing that he was indisposed and he would not be able to make the meeting. So it was also a reported speech, but he was cutting because it was a phone conversation that he had with Wontumi.
Right.
Then one of the chiefs said that until NPP bring Wontumi before the Traditional Council, NPP should be banned from campaigning in the Ashanti region.
That's right.
Yes, but then one of the chiefs said, look, we need to give them a hearing, so we will wait for Wontumi to be produced. So
what is the time frame? What, 7 days? They're going to wait for a week? A week.
In fact, MPP they suggested 2 weeks, but Menchia said no. They can only give them 7 days, which is 1 week for Wontumi to be produced. So right after that, then they also recalled, a movement that lawyer Morris Ampao.
That's right.
Denigrating some chiefs in the Ashanti region. So he was also summoned. Then Wontumi Media, who also gave Morris Ampao that platform to allegedly denigrate some chiefs in the Ashanti region, was also called. But yesterday,
so they've issued that statement. That's right. Sort of apologizing on behalf
of the Palace, and of course also saying that they have withdrawn that particular program that lawyer Morris Ampao put on Wontumi.
A lot to look out for. And time check, it is some 12 minutes to the top of the hour, 10 a.m. We're still live here on 3 FM Sunrise on 3 FM and 92.7. We're talking all things NPP. My colleague Duke Mensah-Opoku is still here with us, and we're just wrapping up with our Northern Sector Bureau Chief, William Evans Inkum. William, before I let you go, just very quickly, I know that John Mahama is going to be embarking on a walk. What is the temperature ahead of that? Is the NPP worried about this walk?
Well, absolutely. Even if explicitly they will not say they are worried, definitely they will be worried, because if you come to the Ashanti region, and here we are talking about the spine of the Kumasi economy, that is the Kejetia market. As I'm talking to you now, there's a huge crowd following John Dramani Mahama. And it does appear that the 24-hour economy is seriously gaining ground in the Ashanti region. You remember barely a week ago, some aggrieved traders at the Kejetia market held a press conference calling on John Dramani Mahama to come and then complete the second phase of the Kejetia redevelopment market. Don't forget that it was under his administration that the first project was completed. So they have high hopes in him that he will be able to complete the second phase of that particular project. Mind you, that a lot of people in the Ashanti region are aggrieved because they are saying that they have not seen any major project in the Ashanti region completed. And it was not for nothing that the chief scribe of the party, even in his opening statement, after touching on Wuntumi and Menshia issue, said that places like, or projects like the Kumasi International Airport, they are expecting that before the close of the second quarter, it should be ready for operation. And of course, he also touched on the mother and baby unit project, which has stalled, the second phase, Kejetia market development project, which has stalled, and of course, the Buankra Inland Port project, which has also stalled. Promises after promise, but they want to see some real action.
Right.
John Dramani Mahama, we understand, is going to engage the traders, who will be telling them more about the 24-hour economy. And even beyond that, you also meet the business community in the Ashanti region, break down the 24-hour economy to them, and see if they'll be able to hit that 30% vote share target that they targeted in the Ashanti region.
Thank you so much for your time. William Evans Inkum is our Northern Sector Bureau Chief, giving us a feel of what is going on in the Ashanti region. Duke, very interesting happenings. You have John Dramani Mahama storming the Ashanti region, but also Wuntumi has a case on his hands. In fact, if what William is saying is anything to go by, the gods might have been involved in this matter. It is certainly heating up, not only in the physical world, but also in the spiritual world.
Menshia yakatumi and camera.
To it.
In Menshia, it's power that's at play, not the law.
Thank you so much, Duke Mensa Oboku. Thank you so much for your time. And of course, things are heating up on the parliamentary side. We'll be getting your insights on some more of the hotspots as we go along. But we can take a few more calls, or a few calls at this time. We call it the Voice of the People segment. I've got two numbers that you can reach us on. 0559-242-717. That's 0559-242-717. Alternatively, you can reach us on 0556-910-154. That's 0556-910-154. You too can weigh in on any of the issues that we have discussed this morning. Let's get on to our phone lines right about now. Hello, good morning. Apologies for that. We lost that caller. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Who am I speaking with, please? Hello, good morning. Who's speaking, please?
Hello, good morning.
Yes, you're on air. Let's hear you, please. Yo, patriote, yo.
Oh, the NPP for primaries are Omokwe. Ghana Fonda Yamiasi. Is it a baby? Was a baby, yes, and our tree, a specimen quantity, a capital chrome, near to that of one of them quality. Was kind of Mudakoshi part in a promise to Saturday air corner and a wicked year. Ghana for Biamo Batrano was kind of a PA, I'm yes, when you be at the Kunadi, and to make a scanner near to any bindi. Was I think I had the PO? Scanner with the question Saturday, Medasa.
Edasipa, go on to my next caller. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Helen Watson.
Kosami, great to hear your voice.
I want to talk about the respect of our traditional leaders.
Sure.
See, if there's a saying that it is if fish want to rot, it starts from the head. You see the kind of disrespect our president have for our traditional leaders in this country.
You say disrespect?
Disrespect, I'm telling you. Look, Helen, the most disrespectful person is to go to a chief's house and we give you a cola. You say you don't take the cola. Or give you a chair to sit and you say you don't sit on that chair. It's a total disrespect to chiefs. When you are going there, you carry your own chair. But when the chief offers you a chair, you will not sit on it.
When did this happen, Kosami?
Don't you see the president going around with a chair?
Right.
They meet the traditional chief. When you go to meet the European, does he go with the chair?
No, he doesn't.
Why is it that if you are meeting your traditional leaders, then you go your own chair? Meanwhile, when you go to the chief, you offer you a chair.
Is that an affront to the chief to not take the seat?
I'm telling you, some affront to the chieftaincy. That you go to the chief's house, he offer you a chair to sit and say you not sit on that chair. You rather sit on. It's a total affront to the chieftaincy, and I think this is what the followers are also learning. That's my master, my sister. I think we have to learn to respect our traditional leaders. When he was campaigning, when you go to them and they give him a chair, doesn't they sit on that chair when he was campaigning to become a leader? Why is it that after a sudden you become a leader and said, I will not sit on a chair offered me, I would rather have my chair to sit on it? You go to the chief, anything, they give you water, you have to drink it. They give you cola, you have to take it.
Sure.
Anything the chief offers you, you have to take it.
Thank you for that, Kosami, giving us some much-needed education. I'll go on to my next caller. Let's make our submissions short, sweet, and snappy so we can hear from as many of you as possible. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Who am I speaking with, please? Where are you calling us from?
Yeah, James calling from Nsawam.
James from Nsawam. What's the temperature in Nsawam this morning?
Oh, it is average. It's average. Very bright. But the wind is also blowing at the same time. So, yeah. So, looking at the development, between traditional leaders and then the state, they call for more and more public education. And I think,
Apologies for that. The line wasn't clear. If you can reconnect with us, do so. 0559 242 717 or call us on 0556 910 154. Apologies to the last caller. Your line wasn't clear at all. We lost you on the telephone. Hello, good morning.
Prophylactic Helen.
Papa Bisu, good morning to you.
Good morning, my dear. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you?
I may say I'm fine, but I want to relate it to the negatives happening under this government. Being a nationalist, I'm not that fine. Anyway, see, we are out of Afghan, right?
Totally out. No hope.
Totally out. Money that has to be spent to do so many things, like at the renal unit, like dialysis and things like this. You send it to Afghan there, whereby we have, what do you call it? Ghana is just close to Ivory Coast.
That's
we have
right.
Ghanaians there. They organize Ghanaian supporters, paying them $40 per them. Is that proper? I'm asking you, Ellen. We were about to go to South Africa for training. West Ghanaians added taxpayers' money. We shouted that before the retreat. You went to Afghan, see what has happened there. Now, it's the same thing that you want to put on us. VAT on electricity. Is that not a tax? VAT on it. There's nothing like, how should I call it? Lifeline, what do you call it?
What they call lifeline consumers.
We don't have it. Ellen, we don't have it. Tell me, where do we have it? Most of the houses where poor people are living, it's a compound house. They share one meter.
That's right.
You understand me?
I understand.
So they should stop. This government should stop deceiving us by saying they are satisfying lifestyle, whatever consumers. Didn't they say that they are cancelling taxations and will go to production?
That's
right.
That's
are we
correct.
seeing it now? Charlie, let's kick out this government come 2024 general election. Let's kick them out.
Thank you, Papa Bisu, for that. Papa Bisu, passionate as always. I'll take my last caller. We'll wrap up for the Voice of the People segment. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Ellen.
Who's speaking, please?
This is Kweku Common Sense from Nwaka.
Kweku Common Sense, you're on air. Let's hear from you.
Ellen, I have 2 or 3 questions to ask you.
Hey, class is in session. Let me hear you.
Okay. Quarterly is ECG and water will not increase.
Sorry, what was the question?
I'm asking.
Yes.
When IMS came in,
yes,
we have been experiencing increment.
That's right.
Every quarter.
It's been going up and up and up. That's right.
Okay, so where is this 15% coming from? Is it additional to whatever nonsense is going on in this country? No, Ellie, I'm asking you a question. Answer me now.
Ask a question directly. What do I make of the 15% proposed VAT?
No, if quarterly there is increment and you are bringing another 15 or 21%, where is that one coming from? You want to understand?
I don't know whether that is separate, but of course, officialdom must answer. I don't have the answers to that.
Okay. ESLA. When they came, there was ESLA. What was ESLA meant to be used for? And what are the money being used for now?
Questions that need answers.
This nonsense must stop. This particular nonsense must stop. And for me, it's too late for labor unions coming in now. They have allowed the corruption and the nonsense have permeated all through our sectors, and they are now coming in. It's too late. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your call. And thank you to everybody who engaged with us on the Voice of the People segment. Of course, tomorrow will allow for some more calls, and you too can lend your voice to any of the issues. Yeah.